Get ready for a creative challenge. In this video, I'll be turning this little sketchbook into a unique junk journal. But here's the twist. I have to make it without adding any bulk or anything sticking out, nor am I allowed to cover up this stamp right here. Are you up for it? Welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. So if you've seen my recent video about the art journal festival I attended, you'll already be familiar with the concept of Sketchbook Hamburg. The link to the video is below for your reference. Essentially, artists like myself receive empty sketchbooks from Florian, the mastermind behind Sketchbook Hamburg. We fill them out with our artwork and send them back to him. Florian then digitizes the sketchbooks, showcases them on his website, and exhibits them alongside others. Exciting news! Florian is currently working on a book featuring select sketchbooks, and if I manage to complete mine by the end of July, it might be included. So Christine, one of the festival organizers, challenged me to transform my sketchbook into a junk journal. And I have to give a special shout out to my dear friend Hani, who sponsored this little book. So let the challenge begin. And by the way, anybody can participate. I am linking the Sketchbook Hamburg site for you below. I think it costs 25 euros to receive this little sketchbook, and you'll get a return envelope so you can send it back to Florian. Even though this is just paper, I am super nervous about this project because I have never done anything like this, nor do I have a concrete concept of how this is going to work. So all this is one sheet of cardstock and 8 sheets of what feels like sketch paper, which totally would make sense for a sketchbook. And it's sewn down the middle with a sewing machine. And then we have the hole here, which we have to keep intact as well, because for the exhibition, Florian is going to hang these up from the ceiling. I think my biggest challenge is going to be that I cannot add a lot of bulk to this, and I cannot have things sticking out. Both attributes that my junk journals always have. So how are we going to make this work? I think one thing I need to do is to tear out some of the pages. So let's start with that, because otherwise I cannot add anything to the pages without it getting more bulky. So for example, let me tear out the second to last page. And then I'll tear out the adjacent page from the other side, so the second from the front, because this will now be loose anyway. Yeah, it's already coming out. Okay, so we have 7 pages left. I think I'm going to keep doing that and just take out every other page. Finally, I'll take out this middle one. Wow, it feels like I'm already destroying this little sketchbook. So now I have 4 pages left in total, and it's a very skimpy little sketchbook, which is what I need for now. By the way, the reason for not being able to have anything sticking out is when Florian scans these on a scanner. He does not take photos, he actually scans them. Then this is the cutoff for the image on the website. So that totally makes sense, and it totally makes my life very difficult. Okay, now what do we do? As inspiration for the style of this little booklet, I want to take this one, which I shared in a recent video, which has this tab binding, which of course I'm not going to do here, but I love the style of this little book and the grunge and everything, and also the transparent butterflies. So that's something I want to do in this little book as well. And by the way, if you want to see how I made this, you can find that video linked below as well. So I'm going to keep this here for reference. Of course, I cannot add any dangles or anything fun like that. This is really difficult. And I also prepared some materials that I might use, I might not, I'm not sure yet. So I printed these butterflies on transparent paper. These are different from what I used in the other project. These are a little bit smaller, I would say. These are printed on overhead transparencies, just like the ones I used in the other project. You can find printable overhead transparency on Amazon. I got mine locally at a store called Pagro. If you're in Germany or Austria, you can find them there. And then I just cut them out. Then I printed some of my cabinet cards, which you can find linked below. I printed these at 50%. And this is a mix of 2 of my cabinet card sets. I have some tea bags, which I think should work well because they are thin and they will provide some nice grunge. I have some of my Keeper of Memories backgrounds printed out at 50%. So maybe I'll use some of these. Then these are some of my rust dyed papers. These are in my shop as well. These are originals. I don't know whether I will use originals or my copies. And then I have just these regular coffee dyed papers. And the speckles you see here are just coffee granulates that I sprinkled over the wet paper. But I think actually the very first thing I want to do is, like I did with this one for the backgrounds, I used my bubble technique to grunge those up. And I think that is obviously the flattest thing I can do, is to just add the color without adding any other papers to it first. So maybe then I don't have to cover up everything. So I'm going to do the same thing that I showed you in the video where I made this little booklet, which is to take a container, it could be a bowl as well. This is just a mixture of acrylic paint and water and a splash of dishwashing liquid. Going to stir this up, blow into it so that the bubbles come up, and then dip my book pages into it. Then I'll do the same thing with this mixture, which is coffee. The same kind of coffee mixture you would use for dyeing your papers. Then I added a little bit of walnut stain distress oxide from my spray bottle. I just poured a little bit inside and added my dishwashing liquid as well. So this gives me a nice grungy mixture of cold and warm tones. I already messed it up. That's totally fine. Be sure to mix it up well at the beginning, because otherwise you won't get enough color on your paper. Ah, this look works really well on the sketch paper. I love it. And I might as well do it on the inside of the cover as well. After drying it, I have this. So now I want to add some more of the coffee to warm it up a little bit. And I will just keep alternating the colors, drying it always in between until all of the pages are covered. So I finished dyeing all my pages, including the cover, front and back, and I now have two major issues. So I'm not sure this was the best idea. So first of all, as you can see, I already have a whole lot of bulk. So this is not going to be okay. And the second problem, which is a lot worse, is since this is just sketch paper, it started tearing even the cover itself. Look at this. And we have to keep in mind that this is going to go through many hands, people looking at this, flipping through this, so we can't have a book that is already falling apart from the beginning. Interestingly, the bottom here is totally intact, but the top is coming completely apart. So what to do? I think for the cover here, so this is already quite torn, I'm going to add some fabric. I have this one, which is by Tim Holtz, and it's called Memoranda, just like the paper pad. And I think a strip from right here would look really good on the spine, but I have to keep in mind that I cannot cover the holes, so I don't have a lot of width here to go with. So I'll cut a strip of that. Again, I'll put my link for a German online store that has a lot of beautiful Tim Holtz fabrics as well as other designers below this video. So if you're in Europe, please feel free to check that out. It's a whole nother thing making a project for something that is going to be published, like, you know, in an exhibition or on a website, than if you make something for yourself, obviously. This is kind of nerve-wracking, I have to say. And I actually might already be breaking the rule of changing the cover too much. I honestly don't know. I'll take my textile glue. You can also use PVA glue. Thin that down with a little bit of water. You just want a consistency which is not too runny and not too thick so that you can spread it easily. And now I'll add it here on my spine. I also wonder if I should coffee dye this first. I should have thought about this before I put the glue on the spine. I guess I still can once it's on there, although then I will make it wet again, which is not good for the spine. I'm not doing a great job. I think I am too nervous. The stakes are a lot higher than usual. Okay, let me add some coffee on this first. So I put some coffee into this little bottle. That just makes it whoops! I was gonna say that makes it easier to apply, maybe not. Just gonna let it soak in. That is quite dark. I'll just add some water. Okay, then I'll dry this. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay, that should work now. And we need to figure out how to do the insides now. I'm afraid that the fabric will add too much bulk on the inside. So I would rather use this painter's tape or masking tape. And I'm not going to put it on the whole spine. I'll just add them to the top here where it's tearing. So the top needs to be straight. Don't want it sticking out. And then I think I need to add glue as well. This is not going to hold up. Okay, I'm going to do this for all of my pages. So I've added the tape to all of the pages and I have a whole new set of problems now because some of these pages here, see, they're sticking together even though it's dry. So I'm going to just take a piece of a candle and rub that in those areas to make sure that this will not stick together. And I think I'll do that on all of my pages, whether they stick together or not. Here where I added the tape, because the book can easily be destroyed if this happens over time. Of course, I don't know what the humidity situation is like wherever the exhibition is going to take place. So these are challenges that I'm usually not faced with. And this whole project might turn into a big fail anyway. I do need to consider that. Worst case, I'm not sending it in and I'm just going to keep it for myself. And the other problem I see now is that, of course, these pages are kind of out of whack. Do you see? They don't line up 100% anymore, and neither do these holes. But of course, this is what they need to hang it up with. So should we just take a hole punch and punch through this one more time? I hope that won't look too weird on the individual pages. I mean, it's not so far off. I might need my crocodile, but I like this punch because the hole is bigger on this one. Yes. Okay, whew, that looks really good from the outside anyway. Okay, so we have this. We still have a whole lot of bulk. So I'm going to put this under some books and then come back to it and see what we have. I am just wondering, should I put some maybe distress oxide or something on the tape? What do you think? I don't mind the look of the tape like this because it's quite transparent and it is a junk journal. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm just afraid of adding more wet media and destroying this even further. By the way, I have a whole video on bubble dyeing your papers for junk journals, so check that out in the description box if you want to learn more about this technique. Okay, I'm going to let this rest and press that a little bit and then I'll be back. It's a couple of hours later and it has flattened out quite a bit, as you can see. So I'm okay with that. It's not perfect, but I think I'm okay with it. The only thing that I don't love is that the pages don't really line up anymore. So I'm going to attempt to straighten those out with scissors. I don't want to be disqualified because of small details like that. Okay, I'm good with that. And next I want to think about my cover decoration because I do want to add something else on here, although I really love this grungy design already. So I went through the photos that I had printed out and I think I want this little girl on the front, but I want her to have wings, and in order for her to have wings I need to cut around her, meaning she's going to lose the chair and we need to find another solution of what she will actually be sitting on. Ideally, she'll be sitting here, but I'm not sure that that's going to work because I cannot cover any of this. So let me cut her out and see what we can do with her. So here she is. And my problem is now that when I sit her on top here, part of the sketchbook is of course covered, which we cannot do. So I'm wondering if I have her like this and I cut off this part of the dress. That might look really silly, or it might do exactly what we need for this to work. It's only paper, so let's give it a try. I am nervous. The stakes are high. I think if I distress the edges, it might look a little less strange. So we could have her sit that. I like that. So I'll just distress the edges quickly with my walnut stain distress oxide. Yes, that does look a little less weird, right? So then let's give her some wings. These are all fairly big. Not sure if they're going to work at all for this. Oh, actually not as bad as I thought they would be. That's a really good contrast. Let's keep that one in mind. Maybe one like this. That's also great, actually. I'll go with these. And I'll cut off the feelers. don't need those. And then we'll just glue those on before I change my mind. I put way too much glue, yep. I'll have to take some of that off again. I'm not going to add anything else. Let's keep it simple and let's stick her down well enough so that she does not come off if a lot of people touch this cover, which I hope they will. I don't think I've ever been so cautious with a project. It's a very interesting experience. Usually I would not glue this wing down, but I'm just afraid that it won't hold up well enough or somebody will accidentally maybe tear it off or something. So I'll actually put some glue underneath and here as well. It will dry clear, it'll be fine. So I've been staring at this little sketchbook for a few minutes now and I realize I'm a bit paralyzed because I'm so worried to add bulk to this. Even though I've taken out half of the pages and I have 4 sheets of paper in here left, that still means I have 16 pages in total to work on. And there is no way that I can do that without adding a whole lot of bulk. I almost wish I wouldn't have added the bubbles to these papers, although I am so in love with how this looks in a little sketchbook. I would love to just leave it as it is, but I can't do that either because there's got to be some interest in here. So I am a bit stuck. One idea I had was to make a hole in one or several of these pages and glue them together, but I'm not sure that's the right solution either. For now, I am stuck and I will have to regroup. It's a few hours later. In the meantime, I have ironed my pages. I've again put them under books and now they are even more flat, so that's great. And then I kept thinking about what could I do with these pages to not make them so bulky. Normally you would think, well, maybe you could just sew or glue always 2 pages together and make them into pockets. Maybe make one page half the size and have a pocket like this. But the problem is when this is going to be hanging and people will look through it, I cannot have anything in the pockets because people will lose them. And I don't want things falling out of my journal. So I can't really put anything loose in here. So I'm thinking, let's not make this so complicated. And let's just work with collages. So in preparation, I have typed some butterfly quotes on these used tea bags. So I have 8 quotes because I'm going to have 8 pages. I have 8 spreads, let's put it like that. So on one side, I'll always put the quote, and on the other side, I'll make a collage. Now when I add these like this, they are fairly hard to read. So I think I'm going to have to add white paper underneath, which makes them a lot easier to read. But I, of course, don't want to, first of all, cover all of this up. Second of all, I don't want the white edges around. So I think I'm just going to have to glue it on and then tear around the edges. And hopefully that will work well. So that's the first thing I need to do. Then I decided on different images for my right side. So originally I had these from my shop. But then I remembered that I had recently seen some super cool images by my dear friend Louisa Heinzel. She made a huge pack and I think they're called photo strips. And you get a huge amount. And they are just absolutely fabulous. So they're squares, as you can see, and you can use them as strips or you can cut them out as single photos. There is no end to these. And I just love these so much. So I chose 8 of those and I cut them out. So these are the ones that I have. And I will of course link this set for you below. And then instead of these butterflies that I showed you earlier, I'm going to use different butterflies. So I have these. Wait, let me add some white paper underneath. There, now you can see it much better. This is 1 page of 3 from Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah. And they're absolutely gorgeous. I don't have any ones with like neutral colors like this in my shop. And I think these will go beautifully with my project here. I did print these at 90%, so they are a little bit bigger when you download them. I will obviously also link these for you below. And I would like to encourage you to check out Tina's shop as a whole. Tina is currently in not a very good state. I hope she's better by the time I'm posting this video, but she has recently posted a video where she's not doing well. And I know a lot of you know and care about Tina a lot, just like I do. So I would like to encourage you to support her in this time of need. I will also link a video for you in which she explains what's going on. So if you haven't seen that, maybe there's an update by the time I'm able to post this. So check that out. So I'll be back once I have all of these mounted and torn out, and then we'll make some fun collages. And I'm using my Liquitex matte gel to adhere these to the white paper. So once I have dried all of them, let's see if I can just tear around them. Oh yeah, that actually works, thank goodness. Better than I thought. So for my first spread, and this here is the back of the cover, I want to add this quote which says, "Butterflies are nature's angels, dancing and fluttering their way through life." So this is going to go here, and then I want to add this cutie over here. I do want to add some more background papers, and I also want to give her some wings. I do not want to separate her from the background, so I'm going to have to cut some slits into the photo into which I can stick the butterfly wings. Why am I making my life so complicated? I don't know. So let's figure out what size of wings. These are all too big. I think these would all work. And what kind of color? I'll go for these, so I'll cut these out. And as a reminder, when you print on overhead transparencies, the drying time is a lot longer. Mine take at least 15 minutes to dry. And mine, for example, are only printable on one side. Maybe you can find somewhere it doesn't matter, but please read the instructions on your package, because otherwise, I'll show you what happens. Otherwise, this will happen, and that's no good. So I'll cut these in half. This is not going to be easy. It might not work at all. What am I thinking? Okay, let's give this a try. So on this side, I think I just need to cut along her shoulder here. And then I can just stick that in there, I think. Yes, that will work. On this side here, I also need to cut along here, but not all the way to the edge. Yeah, I think that works. And now we need some other elements for the background. And I think I need to ink up this photo and this as well. So I'll start by gluing on the wings. Ah, oh no, I rubbed away some of her shoulder. Oh no, what did I do? I'm going to ignore it. Let's add some book page. Maybe some more tea bag paper. And I do want some stitching. So I think I'll then just take this to my sewing machine and stitch through this before I adhere it. I would love to add some lace. That might be pushing it a bit with the bulk. But I have some cheesecloth. Maybe I could get away with that. No, I don't like it. I do have some very old thin lace here. Maybe I could risk that. This is so gorgeous. I have been gifted this by one of my viewers, dear Sharon. Thank you again so much. And it's super special because this came from her great grandmother. So very, very, very special. Thank you again so much, Sharon, if you're watching. And I feel bad tearing this, but it needs to be done. It's a junk journal. I hope that's okay. Okay, so I just sewed a messy zigzag stitch there. I'm going to leave the threads hanging. And now I will adhere this. I don't want to go over the wings because they will lose their shine otherwise. This is of course going to warp the paper again, and I will not be able to iron it because of the transparencies. So many challenges with this project. And this I think I'll just glue down with my PVA glue. So once this is dry, I will continue with the other pages and then I'll show you the final result, because I don't think there's any point in you watching me make these collages because they will all be a very similar style. It's the next morning. I spent about 5 hours working in this last night until midnight, and I'm going to consider this done. It's not what I had planned, but I'm over it. Let's put it that way. I again put it under books, so it is nice and flat still. I'm super happy about that. So let me give you a flip through. On this one, I just added this 9 because I felt it was missing something. So as I mentioned, there's always the quote on the left and a collage with a winged person on the right. This one is super hard to read. I'm going to leave it. I think she's really cute. I'm very happy with this here. This is one of my handmade stamped images. I also love this cute little boy. Here I dared to add a Tim Holtz paperclip. And that's it. On the back here I just put my label and that's it. Would I consider this a junk journal? No. So in that sense, you could say I failed. I did not consider it possible to make a junk journal out of a little sketchbook with all the parameters that it had. I'm at peace with it. If you would have had any other ideas, please write them down in the comments below. I would love to know. Not that I could change it for this one, but I would still love to know if there are techniques that I didn't consider or forgot about. I'm going to now put this in this return envelope to Florian in Hamburg. I'm not even sure if he's going to put this on his website. Is it what he's looking for? It's not a sketchbook by far. I don't know, it's an art book, it's a collage book, whatever you want to call it. It's his call. I doubt that he would put it in his book, to be honest, because it has nothing to do with sketching, but that's okay. I participated in the project. I still think it's a really fun project. This is what I've got. I don't know how long it's going to take him to scan the book and to put it up on his website. As I said, I'm linking it below so you can have a look and see at a later point if my book is there. I hope you had fun with this challenge. Maybe you want to try one of the sketchbooks yourself. Hope to see you back here soon. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah.